Guten Morgen und herzlich willkommen zum heutigen Convention.
Good morning and welcome to the press conference of the meeting Industry Reports Austria, Gerhard Stübe, the CEO of the ACB from Bregenz. Welcome, Christian Woronka. He is responsible of market management in Innsbruck, and then Sandra Neukart, Chief Operating Officer of Österreich Werbung and Director of the Department of Cooperation. So I would like to welcome you in the ACV, also in the live stream, but also the journalists in the metaverse. This press conference is translated in the metaverse for the first time, ACB, and we are looking forward to the feedback of our journalists. So if this will work out well. So you can see the metaverse here, the way it looks like, and we're trying this for the first time. So later on we will also accept your questions. We're happy to listen to your questions. So thanks a lot also from my side, and welcome to this press conference. Thanks a lot for your interest in the convention area Austria. So I would like to start with a retrospective of the meta study of 2021, where we are trying every year to evaluate the statistics, how many conventions are taking place in Austria, how many stays overnight are generated. And during the last 2 years, as you can imagine, were not that positive for us. But nevertheless, the MIRA study was continued because we need fact-based data also for the future, on which we can base our decisions. In 2021, a turnaround was made in the area of convention. We increased of 37.2, and for seminars as well, a 20%, around 20%. 10,400 congresses were held in Austria, and the number of overnight stays were equal to 811,000. This is not that much, but based on the situation, or in the situation we are, it is not that bad. So the situation has to do with the lockdown, but overall, what is interesting for the tourism, more than 60% of these conventions and congresses took place in autumn last year. So this is a good number. And if we think of how the tourism evolves in Austria in general, the convention area is backing up tourism and is an important part, and can increase numbers in tourism quite importantly. So we have 50% more international congress in 2021. So the topic of traveling has had also a positive impact on our business, even though we started with a low level and we had to face a lot of challenges, and we still have to face a lot of challenges. Of course, the energy costs are rising, and we have a lack of employees. The lack of staff is an issue. A short time bookings increase. This is a very complex situation that we have to handle, and we have to face these challenges in the future. We have different changed working environments. If we're thinking of digitization, then we know that our working competences and capacities must change, and our employers must be aware of this. And everyone that is part of our business, our branch, must be aware. We need business managers, KE experts, and not only project managers who are developing and realizing conventions and congresses. So let me say something on the study. There are, on the studies we do in Austria, there are a lot of successful studies and good studies. Thanks of the ministry, last year we were able to evaluate a study of the University Donau-Krems and the University of Vienna. It was about skills and the skills we need in the future. How will the skills change? Which future skills do we need in our area? And the convention office, furthermore, did a project and evaluated skills within this initiative on the skills that will be needed in the future. And if we believe in these studies, then these studies say us that we have to be fit digitally in the future. We need high cultural understanding within our employees, awareness for tolerance and flexibility and tolerance, as well as networking skills. This is important for our branch. So building up knowledge for innovative programs, innovative formats, creating opportunities, creating spaces for opportunities where you can meet and where someone like me would not stand here talking to you in a monologue, but we will approach more Wikipedia system, so the meetings will be become more interactive, more lively in the future, and we will need quickly to come together, to join forces with other sectors, and the training platforms for further development and further training will need to be extended and reinforced. We as an association, we offer the Convention for You. This is a platform where we warmly invite you from 27th to 29th of June in Schladming. This is the laboratory for encounters where we want to talk about these topics. And the reason why we do everything to reinforce the convention landscape in Austria and to extend it is simple. The convention industry is an industry we have to concentrate on because it's worthwhile. If we look at the numbers of 2019 in Vienna, the per capita spending was equal to 541 euros in the Congress area. And in the private holiday area, we have only 276 euros of spending per capita. So we know it's an important part, and we can also offer good jobs in our area, wherever in our cities. And we can also transfer our know-how to the cities through these conventions and congresses and seminars. And so they cover the time in between the seasons, the conventions and seminars, and they are important for our tourism, and we will continue and want to continue this. And green meetings, green events, this is a topic I want to talk about now. We have the task together to think about how the travel or tourism branch can go into the direction of sustainability. And according to me, it is important to think how we can become climate positive, to be CO2 neutral in the future. Here we are quite well developed. We are at a good point in Austria. We developed a environmentally friendly label, a seal in Austria, and Germany took us as an example. And we have the Blue Angel as together with the Blue Angel, we will further develop this seal and this label that is showing that we are an environmentally friendly country, and so we can work on that. Last but not least, I would like to talk about the pandemic once more. Of course, our industry has been affected strongly, the tourism on the whole, but especially also the convention area. And I want to address the politics here, because if we have simple rules in the future and have a good network, then we can avoid that problems arise. Because if we have different rules in different regions, in different federal states, this will not bring us success. This is making people to get angry, and also our clients and guests. And politics here are really asked to work together with us, with our industry. We are available to work on these rules, to create common rules that apply all over the country. Thanks a lot, Christian Woronka. Good morning. Thanks a lot, Gerhard, for this very good overview. Thanks a lot to the ACB as well, because they represent the entire convention area in the further training, and also the convention organizations. Thanks a lot to the ATB and to Österreich Werbung, that also puts focuses also on a convention area. And this event that we are following and experiencing since Monday is an important signal for the international positioning of Austria in the tourism industry, and it's a good positive signal. And there are still challenges to overcome, as my colleague said, but nevertheless, we look into the future in a positive way. Had 40 congresses in Vienna with more than 1,000 people, 2 of them with even 5,000 people. So we're coming back slowly, and something is going on. So something that is changing and is in a process of transformation. Here I would like to mention one event in particular, in the Congress of Archaeologists that will take place in June. And they communicated these days that due to the high demand, they decided that until 2025, they will also have a conference. They will have the conference in July. So from spring, a shift to summer. This is a positive also thing. We will have this big conference in Vienna in the future, and we are excited about it. And there is a high demand also for this date in summer. So nevertheless, next year in March, we will have some congresses. And in March, there's the first big congress in 2023, an international conference on breast cancer, will take place here for experts with 3,000 participants and PACs. And next year, the geoscience topic will also be a conference topic that will be held. We have the geologists here, experts in the trade fair, and 2,000 participants will join and participate. So there will be another association here in the AC view. And the gastroenterologists will also have their conference on occasion of the 30th anniversary next year. So basically, the convention area started off again in Vienna, and Vienna will also in the future be a top location for events and conventions. So there's a big variety of topics that will be presented. Some examples are in Burgenland from Österreich Werbung. The EUV United will take place in the end of June. An exciting topic is the AirMade Congress in Salzburg. Then in the corporate segment, we have a world premiere in the luxury furniture or area. The World Mobility Congress is taking place in Salzburg, and in Vorarlberg there is another congress in the area of medicine. And so you can see that there are a lot of topics and different branches that are organizing conventions. And the investments are also an important thing that are investments which are made in our branch. Vienna is part of a city strategy and is looking into the future and further developing within the framework of this strategy and the city strategy. You can see now also live here which important steps we are taking into this direction of innovation. And after the completion of Donausegel and the Panoramaweg, we are renovating the entrance hall and the halls E and F as well. So the lounge area will also be renovated. At this point, we have to mention that this will give us more flexibility in the entrance area of the ACV. And this is an important thing also in the framework in terms of digitization, because important investments are made in this regard. So regarding the city development strategy, we have a new location, Ariana, in the city that contributes to the topic of sustainability. And furthermore, there is the opening of Weitsicht Kobenzl, motor catering, that works and is active also here in the ACV. And until the end of the year, we have 10 new hotel projects with 2,000 new beds. The first Rosebed Hotel in the German-speaking area will be opened in Vienna Nugro, close to the Dome. Will also be opened, and until 2023, we will have more hotel beds compared to 2019. Then overall in Austria, I want to mention that in Salzburg until 2024 we have 8 new hotel projects, and one project is very interesting in Lower Austria in the area of the hotel industry, the house der Digitalisierung. In 2023 and 2024, this will be completed, and in Tulln. So this will offer further possibilities to meet and have seminars. So Gerhard already said that a lot is going on in the industry, and he was talking about the trends. I don't want to repeat that again, but only mention or underline one or two things he already mentioned. What did we notice in the framework of digitization? There will be a lot going on. Today is the first press conference with the metaverse. This is very exciting. And what we observed is that in the area of associations, it is their task to support the digitalized communication, to have exchange with their community during the entire year, and the Congress is then seen as a highlight in the year. And then everyone is looking forward to meet personally in a physical conference. And therefore, we think that this industry, or our industry, will be an important driver for transformation and development in the future. Digitization is also an opportunity for us. We have to understand that, because different target groups can take part in congresses and which maybe could not take part before. And sustainability and structured planning is something we can offer as well. We have the certification with the environmentally friendly label and with the benchmark compared to other cities worldwide. We are really active with the GDS index, regarding the GDS index. But what is it all about in a time where the future is unstable? We still have to concentrate on planning security. So planning security is still an issue. And here we have to work together. So togetherness here is very important. If we work well together, then I'm really convinced that we as a tourism country, as Austria, as a tourism country, we will be successful. Sandra Neukart, please.
For Christian Woronka.
Thank you so much for these really interesting views also in the future. I am very happy personally to be able to present to you the Austrian advertisement, and I'd like to present myself in the convention branch. So the convention area is absolutely essential for tourism for Austria, and this is why we have decided to have main point for the convention. And the presence of the OTT is one of the three-pillar strategy of the branches and the support of the branches. The aim of the strategy, on the one hand, is the stabilization of the business after the description of the last 2 years, and on the other hand, also the adaptation of the business for the future. I've already shown you a few measures, and with these is also the sustainability. One of our big aims is that it's important that we have the Congress area, Austria, to be able to position it and bring new congresses to Austria. So we have good examples that we bring forward. The Austrian Tourism Days have been certified as green events, which is extremely positive. So at the moment, we are preparing a study, and that's the portrait of European meetings and convention travel. And this is together with Norway, Spain, Destinations International, and IMEX. And we are expecting the results in June, where we're going to have the insights on what processes or the positioning can then be set. In parallel to this, until the end of the year, we have one sales platform from Frankfurt up to Barcelona, with the beginning of in OTT, and it's nice to have this on an international level. starting from the third semester, we're going to have an image campaign in UK, Sweden, Denmark, and Austria, which is going to be started for the positioning of Austria, and there we're going to have 400,000 euros as a budget. Another thing is the innovation. Here we'd like to be in the precursors, and that's why we have the virtual site inspections that we would like to develop further. But also the use of the convention data is very important to us, and the convention, just to improve the convention liveliness. And to try out new innovative structures, that's in the DNA of the convention branch. And then we would also like, with this press conference, to show new ways. So the step of metaverse is one of the steps, and there are many more steps to follow. I can just tell you to have a look at the convention campus at 2:30. There are great keynote speakers with Ali Modinucci, with Start, Fail, and 3:20. That's going to be really, really interesting. 2:20 this afternoon. Thank you. Thank you very much, Sandra. Now I'd like to pass over to the questions. If you have any questions, then we can start with these, and then we can continue with the questions from the live stream. Thank you very much. With your figures, and from 2020, there was quite a lot with the pandemic situation. How is the relation to before Corona? Where were you positioned, and where would you like to head to? So maybe first of all, the second question, where do we want to head to? We would, in principle, like to develop ourselves further. So yesterday we talked about the discussion of the town tourism. So this focus on the comparison of the figures with 2019. So the last 2 years, the world has developed in such a way that, from my point of view, we cannot reflect back to 2019, but the experience that we had, and also in the future, we are there, and I expressed it in a very careful way. It's quite low, and we've got 20 to 25%, maybe 30% in comparison to what you mentioned, 2019. It was a brilliant year in Austria, and there we actually managed to get the fruits of our work. And this topic, of course, is a topic that we would like to get back to, be collecting these fruits. So the colleagues said that we have to think further and look forward in the topic of digitalization that we're used to and that we want to get used to. They set new challenges, and this means carrying on. And this is why, from my point of view, comparing to before is better than it's not the same as it was in the years before. I hope this was concrete enough, and we're at a very low level. We would like to improve further and further, but we cannot compare ourselves with 2019 anymore. The interpreter cannot hear the question because there is no microphone, I'm afraid. The interpreter cannot hear the question. There is no microphone. Thank you very much for this question. We definitely want to reach where you were before. So Austria was always amongst the best in the ranking. It was always amongst the best 20 and amongst the top 10. So this is our aim. We would like, as we heard from Ms. Neukart, the area of convention for the Austrian tourism is absolutely essentially important. We want to get back to that very clearly. This is our goal. So the topic of further education is also extremely interesting. So we are absolutely convinced, and I tried to explain it before, and also to the colleague, Woronka also said we don't really know where digitalization will lead us to in the future. So how this is going to develop, and metaverse, how metaverse is going to develop. But we know that nowadays it's going to be important and to be conscious, and the consciousness amongst our staff members that the topic of hybrid is just going to be it's going to be bigger, and competence and skills in the houses with the PCOs, with the destinations. They need to know what we are going to talk about with the clients. So we have to know that the destinations are fit for this challenge, and we've got a Doctors' Congress in the digital world, which in future is also going to have metaverse operations, 3D animated operations. These are topics that we're working on, and we have to see that this works. Now, you criticized several times also in the past this pandemic management. What did it cost Austria, or who did we give these market parts? So I can't say much to this. I can just talk about my own experience. In Vienna, we had a different disposition than in Bregenz. So we had different start dispositions, and this in part because we were a model region, like in Tyrol and Salzburg. And we weren't even able to have national events as we were used to it before, because there were some restrictions within Austria. And this, of course, is a very subjective, not just approach, but also it's a demand from our branch. And if it's according to us, and we don't want, another year where we don't do anything, then we really need to be able to say we have to see to it that, at least in the national area, that we have the same predisposition so that our branch can create something again. So in the past, we talked in in Copenhagen, they were talking about the fact of getting their shares as well. It wasn't just Copenhagen with the shares in the media. We also heard in the past few years how fast the whole Scandinavian countries replied to this topic, and replied differently to the topics. And amongst others, Austria. I don't just want to say that Austria reacted in such a way as they did, but there are also other countries, and the federalistic decisions made in Germany were not a good promotion for many areas. So, but yes, there are some role models, as there are in the entire world on a daily basis and in the worldwide area. And I think we should have a look at it together, that we learn from each other and try and see who did it better in the past 2 years. And maybe we should orientate ourselves on that, so that we can pass on the desire to our politicians in the politics. That's already been lost. So the international responsibility in the past 2 years was nearly not possible. So all the countries, Christian, I don't know, maybe you can say something to this. You work more on an international level than you do. I mean, all I can say is that national business in all countries was predominant, not to talk about international levels. So here I'd like to add something. Due to the situation, Austria was also in the meeting branch, that we have another disposition. Vienna is the capital, so it's different to the rest of Austria. So we have to look ahead and and have the safety, and then also in the future this is going to take place. So this, just to your question, where there is business, and what we saw in the business the beginning of the year, there were some smaller events that were lost, for example, in Spain and Portugal, that also from the temperatures that there were there and the development that there's there, the restrictions were able to be taken back earlier, which wasn't the case in Austria. And we also have to also have a look at on a larger scale that we didn't have a direct influence due to the Ukraine war, and we also have to say that due to this development in parallel, we also had a few events that were placed upon a specific area, also in East Europe, despite the restrictions that they still were able to take place. Concerning your question, with your question on international management, so we also had from the ICAR and the university, and not all of them are being published because it's quite difficult also within the pandemic situation to be in all towns. All towns are put together and have the data. So the tendencies also show that Austria and Vienna also are at the head of it, are in front, and this is also for Vienna an important step. Are there any further questions? So the topic of health that was mentioned, 2020 and 2021, does it need, with its cooperation, closer work with the Ministry of Health? We have very clear guidelines on how I can, on a healthy basis, have events in Austria. We've got 3 ministers of health, and every month we had different statements. Does it lack in clear health guidelines or guidelines on the health topic to be able to go about with this situation? Well, on the size of, well, what the ministries of health decided, and upon their statements, I'm not going to say anything about that. But me as an inhabitant, you know, I saw the Delta variant, and then there was the next variant, and we had Omicron, and maybe there's going to be further variants in the future. So I don't want to get into this. You heard earlier, I have very clear statements that I want to make to politics, and I would like you to understand we had to adapt to the situation. A clear answer is yes, we need this. But what I can personally say, and what I know, is that we are doing our best. We're trying our best despite the pandemic situation, to develop concepts that we decide with the politics, also from our experience, also from the visitors and participants, guests, that they come to the events. And we also want to bring this experience, that we have a concept for the future and be able to evaluate it. We are ready. We've also learned from the pandemic situation that we know, or we think that we know how to handle it now, and what handling options we have. And I think there we should have a very clear way to be able to protect all of us. I would like to add at this point, I think we've got very clear safety concepts, and I think we've learned very clearly what we would like, and not just the tourism and the meeting branch, which desires this, but also in the width of economy and in general in the population, to have a view what would be the first restrictions that would be considered if the infection rate was to go up again. So this is what we hear from the customers, and customers would like this. What would be the first steps? And this is clearly something that we would like to have, and we would like to have it at an early stage, because that actually helps us for the planning safety as well, to be able to plan better. If we're talking about wishes and desires, let's wish that the next event, that they're not going to close the tube station, because it's a bit difficult to close the tube station when we have such an event. Yes, especially investments, and the fact of having building sites is always an advancement, and that's why we have restrictions. And so in future we can have better options here. Not another good question concerning advancements. So the international flights, for example, Istanbul and the airport and Lisbon. It's quite interesting from the area. That would be interesting. So how can we find this? Thank you. I have to say, I'm sorry, I did not understand your question. If Istanbul is a competition to Vienna, if there are better flight connections in Istanbul compared to Vienna, if they are a competition to Vienna, are there any possibilities? I don't know what the connection is like. Are there shorter connections with Istanbul? Well, what I can say now is that we'd be really, really happy this summer also to be able to have the old times back. So this would mean that the offer that the airport offers us, despite the restrictions that we have with Asia, that here, if we have special comparisons also with Turkey and Vienna, where we have competitors. I mean, this decision for events always has restrictions, and we work here in future with important investments. For example, the ACV and that I mentioned before, and then there are several more factors where the Congress president decides where the event takes us to, and there's the connection between economy and science. And to bring back this connection, us, Vienna, as a location, we have 35% of the events with events that we were able to generate, and Vienna is the second biggest student town. Also for life sciences, it's quite well done, and also with investments in the area of the economy can also be quite good with renting and on the renting market, which is also very interesting, and I think we can look forward to that. Very good. Well, thank you so much. I don't think there are any more further questions. So I'd like to thank you all, and also for your participation. And I'm going to wish you a very nice day in these OTTs. So goodbye.